Welcome, Meghan. We're responsible for communications at QSS. Could you tell us a bit about why academics should communicate their research to the wider world?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the first thing is that academic funders and institutions are increasingly expecting researchers to communicate their findings to other audiences as just part of the process. But I think if we look at it a bit more broadly, research, and in particular social research, serves a societal purpose, and communicating the findings effectively can really help fulfill that objective.
And how do you go about it?
Well, every study is different, but the most important thing is to determine the who and the how. So first thinking about who's affected by the study, by the findings, and then thinking about who is actually in a position to do something about them. And in terms of the how, that can really vary. Communications can be as simple as a meeting or as complex as a major press campaign.
Does social media have a part to play in communicating research?
Social media has an ever-growing part to play in communicating research. I think in particular, it can have a massive effect on your reach. So for instance, we had a press release come out last year that was about a study that found reading for pleasure actually helped children's performance in the classroom. So even in vocab, but even in maths. And a user of the social media site Reddit found this, linked to it, and then others in that online community voted it up as interesting to them. And what we found was that Reddit drove over 3.5 times the amount of traffic to our website than we would get in the average month. So, I mean, that example just shows how clearly influential social media can be.
Traditionally, academics have presented new research findings at events. Are events still important?
I think conferences and seminars are staples of communicating with other academics, but they do have a role to play with other audiences. So last year at the ESRC Festival of Social Science, we hosted an event at the Department for Health launching the findings from the 1970 British cohort study at age 42. And we were able to strike that critical balance between having 50% civil servants and 50% academics in the room. We even had the permanent secretary there. And we tied that event to a press release and also produced a plain English briefing paper on the findings as part of that package. And I think what we learned from that was just how important it is to use a location and a format that works for your audience, and to make events part of a wider communication plan.
It sounds like communications is an integral part of the research process. What would be your main message for academics?
I think my main message would be that academics' responsibility for communications is only going to get greater. But to look at it slightly more positively, being able to communicate effectively can actually ensure that your work makes the difference.
That's a really positive message to end on. Thanks, Meghan.
Thanks, Claire.